I just woke up. The entire side of my tarp here had collapsed. Rain was being basically blown inside here, soaking my pad and my sleeping bag. The tent stake at the back has come out because these winds are so strong. This side of the tarp has just come in on itself. As you all have seen so far, I've hiked into the area, I've set up my tarp, and I've done a partial storm mode. Because there's so many trees here, I have so much protection, I didn't feel that I needed the full storm mode setup. So I have a little bit more ventilation here, which I'm going to enjoy later on tonight. The forecast is for rain and storms to come in tonight into tomorrow morning. So I figured I would come out for a good old-fashioned rain camp. My setup here is very, very simple. Not only is it lightweight, but it's also functional and very, very adaptable. As far as the time goes, it's almost 5 o'clock. We're at 5,139 feet, and it's 48 degrees. That rock is exactly what I need. You will see why in just a little bit. I'll tell you what, everyone. With this stool, it's from Big Agnes. It's expensive, but it's insanely comfortable. What's so good about this is that you sit in it like a chair. It's not like your typical stools. This is actually comfortable for a long period of time. As far as my bedding goes, I'll get all of that ready later on tonight. For now, I think I'll focus on making some coffee. For this trip, everyone, I'm using the BCB Fire Dragon stove. Instead of using solid fuel, I'm using this alcohol gel. I've never used this product before, so we'll give it a shot, see how well it works. It just started raining, everyone. It's still dripping through the trees, not coming down very hard, but rain is falling. You can see there what the rock is being used for. It's to level out the ground. This entire area slopes quite significantly this direction. So I'm using that rock as a base plate to level everything out. It will be interesting to see how well this performs. How much do you have to use to heat up some water for coffee, for an example? This stuff here is very expensive. I'll flash the price on the screen for you all. The one thing that it has going for it is that it's non-toxic. That way you can burn this stuff in an enclosed space like this, and you don't have to worry about cancer in the future. That's not the case with like hexamine or something. That stuff is really, really nasty. Those are the reasons why I'm using this product in this episode. I want to see how well it performs, and also I'm underneath this tarp, so I definitely need to be careful. So what I put in there is almost out. It warmed up the water, but it's not close to boiling. Overall, the performance of this gel is not very good. The thing is, alcohol gel does not burn very hot, so it takes a substantial amount to boil water to heat up food and so on. Then you have to factor in the price. While it does have some pros, it has some major cons going against it. I could tell by simply handling this that it's not very hot. And the thing is, the reservoir for this stove was almost completely full. It's not very warm, but it's pretty good though. Now that is a whole lot better. As far as the conditions go, it's getting darker, of course. It's still dripping rain, but it's not very heavy. The one noticeable change is the wind. There's a fairly strong breeze coming through the woods here, but luckily because of the way I pitched this tarp, I'm not feeling any of it. I'm fully protected. It may not put off a lot of heat, but the heat that it does is appreciated. As it stands now, the temp is dropping. It's around 40 degrees or so. The low tonight's not supposed to be that cold, about 37. I figured with this trip, I better go minimal, because my days of going minimal are almost over. Winter's on the way. It'll be snowing soon. That means more gear, more clothing, heavier gear. When it comes to dinner tonight, we're having some instant mashed potatoes, bacon and cheese. Sounds interesting. I haven't had that before. And we're also having beans with pork sausage. The other day I was looking at the Stowaway Gourmet Bison Bean Chili. One serving is $20. $20. When I go to a sit-down restaurant, I don't spend $20. That simply makes no sense. Let's see how this is, folks. Let's try out the beans, then we'll move to the sausages here. These beans and the mashed potatoes come from the UK. They're different than most of the beans that I've had here in the United States. It's more of like a ketchup flavor with the sauce. I'll tell you what, I think the ultimate combo is to mix the beans with the mashed potatoes. Let's try it combined. Oh yeah, that's the way to go right there. As it stands now, dark outside. It's about 7:30. It's been a good day. Nice, peaceful, and quiet. All right, everyone. As you all can see, I'm underneath the tarp now, ready to call it a night. You can see I have these beams here. That's pushing the tarp away from me. That way it doesn't come into contact with my sleeping bag here. It's still in storm mode, but just slightly elevated. If it gets really rainy, really nasty out there, I could drop these supports and go full storm mode if I need to. Plus, with my ground sheet here, I can wrap this up a little bit, wrap it around my sleeping bag. Let's say that rain's falling off the tarp heavy enough to come down this way. It'll go underneath my ground sheet and everything will stay dry. Also, I have my poncho right next to me if I need it. I can use that to drape it over me, keep me dry. I can use it to set up a wall, maybe a door. There's plenty of options here that I have. Before I came to bed, I'm sure you all heard those coyotes. There was a pack over there, over here, and another one over here. Close, like really close. Was I concerned? Not at all. They're inquisitive for the most part, but they're not generally dangerous. Generally, that's the key word. As an update, everyone, it's a little bit after 10 o'clock now, and it's raining outside. At the same time, it is incredibly windy. Thankfully, this setup here is offering a lot of protection, but outside of this tarp, it's pretty nasty, really. You can see the mist floating around in the air. That's a good indicator of wind speed. You can see it how fast it's blowing by. It's a good evening. Super, super wet, quiet, besides the wind, but it's nice. I'm just kind of getting ready for sleep. Get my mask ready. My gloves ready. As you all can hear, it's raining pretty good out there. Luckily, nice and dry here. Good morning, everyone. Update time. It's about 5 o'clock. Things have turned interesting. So I just woke up. The entire side of my tarp here had collapsed. Rain was being basically blown inside here, soaking my pad and my sleeping bag. What has happened is this. The tent stake at the back has come out because these winds are so strong. This side of the tarp has just come in on itself. As it stands right now, I was able to rig this up and I've got it under control. I'm a little bit wet, but that was right at the verge of being a big problem. This tent stake here used to be way down here, but that's not the case anymore. I have it under control now, so I'm going to bust out a hand warmer, warm up my hands a little bit, and try to get a little bit more sleep. That could have been really bad. Anytime you're in the outdoors, you have to be prepared for a failure of some sort, just in case. It's funny, the forecast did not mention anything about wind. None at all. It was supposed to be calm and cool. That's it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's check the time here. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock. I decided to sleep in since it's so windy and rainy. I have to be honest, everyone. This is probably the most miserable I've been in a long time. The conditions up here are just so wet. It's just so foul. And after the tarp collapsed, everything in here was fairly damp. Not soaking wet, but damp enough. I was able to sleep good, but it's pretty miserable. It's pretty miserable. Sometimes that's just how it is. Not every trip is going to be glowing, and you know how I do here at the channel. No clickbait. It is what it is. I tell you straight. It's pretty miserable. But hey, the sun's coming up. We're going to make coffee in a minute. It's going to be alright. It looks like the solutions that I came up with for this tarp, they're holding. It has not collapsed any further, so that's good. What a mess. What I'm going to do first is make some space here. I'm going to pack up my sleeping bag and all of that stuff. That way I can maneuver inside of this. When it comes to this Fire Dragon Gel Fire Lighter, I don't like this. I like the fact that it's non-toxic, but that's it. For this trip alone, I've used almost this entire bottle, and that's ridiculous considering how expensive this is. Think about what I've done here. I made 2 cups of coffee, I heated up some water for some mashed potatoes, and I heated up some beans, and that's it. The plan for the rest of this trip is pretty simple. Coffee, clean up, then get out of here. It's interesting about the wind though. Nobody was calling for this, and these wind gusts are over 40 miles an hour outside of the forest. I mean, it's pretty extreme. This reminds me of a trip that my buddy Paul Mesner just went on. If you haven't seen his YouTube channel before, you definitely should. Anyways, he was out for a trip. It was soaking wet, super miserable looking, and I was talking to him about it. And I was like, man, I was watching your video. It looked super miserable, and I was smiling the entire time. Because like, man, I know you had fun. Even though it was miserable, I know you did. It's just like this. Miserable, yes. Fun, yes. It's trips like this that you remember the most. It tests you, and ever so often, you need to be tested. You need to know that you're capable of a lot more than you expect. As you can see, I went ahead and I fixed the tarp. Staked it out again and braced it with rocks. Let's give this coffee a shot here. If it's lukewarm, I'll call it done. I'm almost done with the coffee here, and that means it's just about time to go. Unfortunately, because it's raining so hard, I'm not going to be able to bring you all with me. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this trip. I appreciate you all. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up because it does help the channel. If you disliked it, you know what to do. If you're interested in some merch, check out the merch store. If you want to support the channel, Patreon, YouTube, that is appreciated as well. Until next time, everyone, take care, strength and honor. Bye for now.